Are we the baddies? I think we've already figured out that everyone's the baddies. Okay. The bridge is in upheaval. The technomat's prayers mix together in senseless cacophony, while servitors work hastily to remove a hardened crust of sacred unguents from the warp engine's components. In the middle of all this tumult stands Pascal, with the data slate clutched in his hand, seemingly disconnected from the flurry of activity around him. What is going on here? The warp sextant is not responding to commands. The ship's spirit is rejecting our prayers in anger. I am currently calculating a plea that might appease the noble spirit. Magos, why don't you assume control of the technomats? Surely their contribution will speed things up? They would only be a hindrance. I am searching for a way to rectify the error. Pascal is muttering without taking his eyes off the data slate. There's a certain anxiousness to the way he moves his mechadendrites. Crew, heed the word of Major Sonoyman. Pascal, I kindly request that you take charge of this mess. Thank you, your lordship. You are right. Pascal's voice changes when he addresses the crew. He now speaks with authority and resolve. Tech comrades, heed my instructions. The mayhem immediately subsides and the crew's actions fall into some indiscernible logic. The Omniscia's servants start working in sync, and the Beneric clamor becomes a symphony of reports, which the Magos coordinates like a skillful conductor. Admirably done, Pascal. The Omniscia guides me. The prayers of the tech priest surrounding the cogitator almost drown out the sounds of the bustling bridge behind you. Pascal, poring intently over the data slate in his hands, extends a mechadendrite towards you. Please take your place at the cogitator, Lord Captain. Okay, step up to the cogitator. The huge machine in front of you is lit with dozens of vid screens and hundreds of lumens. The blinking lights and endless rush of symbols and digits on the green background make your eyes water, and a vague sense of alarm simmers in the depths of your mind. The typical reaction of a layperson when confronted with the magnitude of the Omniscia's creation. Among the numerous controls, you see the mouth of a cyber gargoyle, the same as at the gate of the warrant chamber. Pascal's voice becomes imbued with imperious force. Servants of the machine god, heed my command. Acolytes, prepare the incense instrumentation for the liturgy of machine spirit propitiation. Senior technomats recite the prayer to generate a current data report. Operations will be marked with the campanological protocol. Omniscias, rejoice. I must inform you that for the purposes of safety, complete reassembly of the warp sextant and updating of its datasmith blessings are required. If this is not done, then at launch, the volume of aggregate calculation errors could result in the destruction of the data crypts. Data crypts, a data repository sanctified by the Adeptus Mechanicus to be used in conjunction with the cogitator. Basically, they're like storage. But as we do not have 100 hours at our disposal, we must omit this procedure. Pascal looks down at the data slate in his hands, a minor deviation from the rite of operation for the sake of appeasing the spirit. Okay, what must I do? Place your hand inside the throat of the cogitator guardian, the cyber gargoyle, which has been assigned to guard the forbidden data crypts. The dynastic blood extracted from your veins will serve as a key to the data core, where the machine spirit dwells. To it, we will offer our prayers so that we may bypass the protective protocol for defective connections and launch the warp sextant. Pascal's voice grows quieter. The laws of the Omniscia know no exceptions, and so in this ritual I will remain at your side to placate the wrathful machine spirit in whose abode you will be intruding. Follow my liturgies, Lord Captain, and may we receive his blessing. Okay, I'm going to place my hand in the cyber gargoyle's mouth. The metal jaws clamp down on your hand, breaking your delicate corporeal sheath and releasing warm red liquid into its gullet. At the same moment, the image of the vid screen before you changes. Connecting. Okay. Gesture at the vid screen. What does it all mean? At the sound of your voice, the cogitator servant, whose bronze-bound skeleton is built into the cogitator housing, shudders. With a screech, its skull rotates towards you and then stops in that position. Benevolent code, a voice receptor. Pascal emits a sequence of binaric signals and then is silent for several seconds. I hypothesize that the defect is located in the analyzer block. I register a reaction to the signal but no processed response. A temporary override is permissible. The Magos intently studies the vid screen. The shell was created on a forge world not unknown to me, initiating standard invocation of the machine spirit. Pascal leans over the adjacent instrument panel and sets his hands on the controls. At the same time, a quiet stream of machine code begins pouring forth from his vox. By my authority, I revoke the inviolability protocol of the warp engine. One of the cogitator's vid screens turns red. Pascal sees this and raises his hand, signaling to the rest of the tech priest, then withdraws a connector from a sleeve and connects it to the machine. Servants of the Omnitia, make now the offering of cleansed data crypts to the machine spirit, so that it may be filled with their true and calibrated data. May the Omnitia have mercy on our souls. In meek solemnity, the acolytes offer up the cleansed data crypts to the warp engine one after another, repeating prayers of exaltation. After anointing the contacts with sacred unguents, Pascal inserts them in the cogitator slots. Your head begins to spin from the holy sensor's foul-smelling clouds of smoke, and from the loss of blood that the cyber gargoyle continues to drink from you, and the world swims before your eyes. Let this mechanism awaken in renewed purity. Pascal enters a sequence of commands and raises his head. Watching the vid screens, suddenly he stops dead. No. His fingers fly over the command runes, entering command after command. His mech and dendrites, clicking their pincers, pull at one lever after another, the vid screens filled with strings of symbols completely incomprehensible to you, but clearly conveying something to the Magos. What is happening? After a few seconds, one of the data crypts mounted on the cogitator begins to emit sparks. A moment later, another data crypt does the same. The next bursts into flame and gives off foul-smelling smoke. Around you, the Omnitia servants break off from their prayers, and someone bursts into frantic pleading. Pascal mournfully grates out. The massive errors in the warp sextant's calculations is destroying the data repositories. The offering did not appease the ship spirits. The warp engine cannot be filled with the motive force. We are trapped. The warp engine cannot be filled with the motive... A moment later, the Magos continues uncertainly. Perhaps an alternative Ryzen protocol, or an emergency launch of the auxiliary coils. The tech priest bends over the cogitator, but something in his pose and movements reveals his desperation. While the other vid screens are filled with more and more strings of symbols, the monitor in front of you blinks and its static image changes. Pascal is too engrossed in his ritual to notice. Magos Neumann, a moment if you will. He turns towards you, his flickering visor betraying his anxious state. Lord Captain, He stops short when he sees the vid screen. Distorted transmissions from the data core, most likely the residual cognitive functions of the built-in servitors. Omnitia, shield us from machine ghosts. He returns to manipulating the cogitator's command runes. Machine spirit, can you hear me? The cogitator servant creaks quietly in its joints, a sound that is drowned out by the binaric hymns and the tapping of command runes. Input prompt, ping, request response, injury, rescue, query. Machine spirit, this is the Lord Captain of this vessel. Obey me and start the warp engine. Pascal's voice shakes with tension. That was a non-executable request, Lord Captain, even if the voice receptor could interpret such a... Pascal's next vocalization goes unsynthesized as he sees the vid screens begin to stabilize one after another. Ho 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 ho! The strings frenetically galloping across the green background, one replaced with stable images or regularly updating status reports. Only one monitor remains inexplicably red. The tech priest's vox crackles in shock, but his report is as clipped and clinical as ever. Registering, warp sextant activated, registering, data stream stabilizing, registering, 0 data errors found. Reporting, the warp engine is ready for translation. After a pause, Pascal adds, I am also reporting evidence indicating a Category 3 miracle fulfilling the criterion. Thou shalt witness the mechanism that toils in glorification of its function and in defiance of deactivation. Okay, Helmsman Revor. Lord Captain, Revor here. The crew are almost finished carrying out the orders given earlier, and I've just received confirmation from the engineering halls. I don't know what you did, but the warp engine's up and raring to go. We're ready to begin the translation to the warp, your lordship. What just happened? Pascal pauses. I hypothesize that the ship's spirit heard our prayers and intervened. It summoned the power of the Omniscia to do something beyond my comprehension. It appears the Omniscia perceives and knows the power of your faith, Pascal. He would not have worked this miracle otherwise. I hope he will grant me a revelation that will allow me to comprehend the nature of this miracle. Pascal's vox buzzes with wonder and an undercurrent of exultation. I know little of the Omniscia's sacred machines, but what I saw on the screen looked strange. A non-standard output of information lost in the data core. The servitors used as data conduits are not always fully lobotomized. Fragments of their thoughts can appear even in pure code. Pascal falls silent, immersed in thought. Contact Revor. The Lord Captain speaking. I give the order to commence translation to the warp. Waiting for you to ascend to the Captain's throne, Lord Captain. May the Emperor protect us. Man, this world is wild. I just destroyed a planet, guys. Well, any alliance we might have had with Winterscale might be, gone at this point. We blew up one of their planets. I think that might put us at opposition with them. The dad won't be happy. Maybe the son will come around to us a little bit, though. We did save his life. Yeah, this game's wild. I'm loving it. Chapter over. Holy shit.
The Valancius flagship made its way out of the doomed star system. As the void shift plunged deeper into the Koronus Expanse, the rogue trader's subjects bid a formal farewell to the late head of the dynasty, Theodora Valancius. Having paid their last respects, the crew gathered their strength and braced themselves for whatever was to come next.
Lord Captain, allow me to report, our journey through the warp is coming to an end. Lady Navigator Orselio informs me that we have reached the point where we can translate to real space. In the Furibundus system, the Lady Navigator and her pilots are waiting your permission to begin the process. The Furibundus system is home to Footfall, the only Imperium outpost with a functioning wharf in the Koronus Expanse. The tech priests are begging you to have mercy on the machines, worn down by the warp, and to allow the servants of the Omniscia to inspect and heal the void ship's wounds in the dock. The prayers and rituals will take some time, which our astropathic choir will use to establish a connection with the prime worlds of your protectorate, Dragonus, Janus, and Kiava Gamma. Okay? So a massive void port on the edge of the Koronus Expanse, and a notorious hotbed of vice, trade, and rogue trader intrigue. So is it a space station or is it a planet? Astropathic Choir. A powerful sanctioned psyker who can send and receive messages through space using the— oh yeah, okay, I forgot about that. Master Zachary Weiss was has recovered an invitation previously adrift in the Immaterium. The Liege of Footfall has humbly requested an audience with the rogue trader of the von Valancius dynasty. According to Master Zachary, the message was tinted with shades of pleading. I quote, "Apparently the Liege is anxious to meet as soon as possible." Footfall, the place where filth and sanctity go hand in hand. Reverend Hieronymus Della Rosso will most likely expect a visit from me. I imagine he will be interested in talking to you as well, Analog Vernacular. I will be leaving your void ship when we arrive on Footfall, Vernacular. Once that is done, consider the Lord Inquisitor's task complete. Interesting. Is he actually leaving the party? Your Lordship, young Yvain Winterscale has asked me to convey his gratitude for your hospitality and for saving him from certain death. Oh, is he still on our ship? That's right, we did invite him onto our ship. Okay. But that doesn't mean that Papa Winterscale is going to be happy with us. Not wishing to outstay his welcome, he plans to disembark at Footfall. Lord Yvain swears he will not forget his debt to you. I hereby inform the rogue trader that during a comprehensive system inspection rite, this unit discovered data clusters within the captain's cogitator that are concealed from prying eyes by means of a personal cipher and a sacrament of algorithmic authorization. Unit Analog Vernacular von Valancius has been added to the access list and assigned the identifier Keeper 2. The unit can access the data from the captain's cogitator provided that he possesses the decryption key. Okay. You detect a hint of something resembling curiosity in Pascal's mechanical voice. I don't know if we have that decryption key, but that's interesting. Are you leaving us, Heinrichs? The arrangement between the Lord Inquisitor and your predecessor was that I be transported to Footfall and no farther. I dare not take advantage of your generosity and patience any more than I already have, Analog Vernacular. I hope that we meet again. True servants of the Emperor are always welcome aboard my ship. Hold on. Yeah, let's try this one. You are a skilled fighter. I could use people like you. Why do you say we extend your stay in my retinue? Thank you for your offer, but I must decline. I'm afraid my duty to the Golden Throne comes before everything else. Okay. Damn, I liked his healing abilities too, but I bet you he'll come back. Okay, Argenta, who is this Reverend Hieronymus who wants to talk to me? He is the head of the Drusian mission on Footfall and one of the most prominent clergymen in the sector. Followers of the cult of St. Drusus, a legendary hero of the Angevin Crusade who founded the Calaxis sector for the Imperium of Man. Paying him a visit is a good thing for any loyal servant of the Emperor to do. I assisted his mission before I joined Lady Theodora on her voyage. I need his blessing to accompany the new rogue trader of the von Valancius dynasty. If you wish to have me aboard your void ship, I request that we meet with Reverend Hieronymus. Okay. Vigdis, tell me about the system we are arriving in. Furibundus is valuable due to its close proximity to the Maw, the gateway to the Imperium. The system is mostly known for Footfall, the main base for merchants, privateers, and rogue traders traversing the Koronus Expanse. Additionally, the star itself is orbited by an Adeptus Mechanicus station, which is off-limits to outsiders. Alter Templum Calixis Extension 17. I had the honor of tending to this shrine for a few thousand cycles. I suggest you abstain from visiting it, as most tech comrades at the station are engaged in meditative calculations that should not be interrupted. Okay, what do I need to know about Footfall? It is the largest port in the trading capital of the Koronus Expanse. It has a dockyard that will allow us to inspect and repair the void ship. It boasts its own astropathic choir, the Koronus Expanse Communications Nexus. Not to mention pirate hideouts, smuggler caches, and forts belonging to a dozen gangs, groups, and factions. In the Koronus Expanse, the Imperium relies on this as its outpost. The fringes of humanity's domain rarely resemble its central worlds, but so long as Footfall serves the God Emperor, insofar as it can, it will be considered a citadel of the Imperium, although I have heard that the tithes it sends are underwhelming, to say the least. Due to Footfall's remoteness, it has developed its own rules and customs. Many of the goods that can be procured there would be considered heresy in the heart of the Imperium, enough to warrant summary execution. Moreover, Footfall is the domain of the rogue traders, who transcend certain Imperial laws by virtue of the warrant they bear. Alright, this is just a brief stop. What after this? As soon as we solve the issue plaguing the ship and establish contact with the key worlds of your protectorate, the time will come for your Magnae Accessio, the official ceremony of donning the mantle of the rogue trader. It is mostly a formality at this point. You already possess all the privileges granted by the warrant, and yet it is a major milestone in your personal history, the moment your name graces the list of heads of the von Valancius dynasty. We are all looking forward to that day, Lord Captain. Okay. Abelard, do you know anything about the Liege of Footfall? Vladame Takara is a very peculiar young man. Consider your upcoming conversation a baptism of fire in Footfall's political arena. Such things are not spoken out loud, but Liege Takara is the appointee of the Kasbalika Mission, the largest robber baron crime syndicate in the Calixis sector. They specialize in the cold trade, the buying and selling of all kinds of Xenos rubbish. The Footfall chapter of one of the most successful crime syndicates in the Imperium of Man, founded in the Calixis sector. Is it sanctioned? Is it like sanctioned crime? Probably not. By the sound of it, no. They just get away with it. The illegal trade of commodities and artifacts of Xenos origin. Yeah, so probably not sanctioned in any way. I mean, the fact that it's called a crime syndicate, like... Even sanctioned vampires, like the place that sanctions them isn't going to call them criminals. A term used within the Imperium to refer to aliens? Okay, cool. Footfall was previously run by a liege who did business with several criminal factions at once. But he suffered an accident. The reins of power were picked up by Vladame Takara, whose appointment benefits not only the Kasbalika, but also their most powerful ally in the Koronus Expanse, road trader Caligos Winterscale. Vladame is a slippery yet very cautious fellow. He does not usually beat around the bush and does not play mind games. Perhaps more importantly, he is no fool. Fools do not rise this high in the Kasbalikan hierarchy. Keep all of this in mind. You are a rogue trader. You stand above him in status and wield considerable power. Having said that, history has seen cases where the Kasbalikan barons crossed swords with rogue traders and emerged victorious. Do not forget that and remain vigilant. Alright, good advice. The Kasbalika, vile tech thieves. Pascal's vox barks out the last word like profanity. Why does the Liege want to see me so badly? Not you personally, he wishes to meet with the rogue trader of the von Valancius dynasty. Takara does not know about the Lady Theodora's death and is simply seeking an audience with the powers that be. My gut is telling me that something must be very wrong on Footfall, if our astropath managed to read such strong emotion in such an anodyne message. We have no information, Lord Captain. The broadcast from the Footfall Astropathic Choir was the only missive Master Zachary has received lately. Tell the Lady Navigator I give her leave to make the translation from the warp into real space. Vigdis begins issuing instructions. The massive ship appears to change with her every word. The bridge is set in motion as hundreds of people start to prepare for the shift to real space, and measured chanting fills the corridors to safeguard the vessel and its crew. Vigdis turns to you again. One more thing, Lord Captain. No one at the station knows about Lady Theodora's demise, and you inheriting the title. Liege Takara will be informed. It is required so we can use the dock. And besides, he is expecting a personal audience with the rogue trader. He will not meet with an unknown person of unclear standing. However, there is still the matter of announcing your arrival. You can either arrive on the station with the proper pomp and ceremony, or choose to visit it incognito. Tell me in detail how these choices will benefit me. According to Footfall's unwritten laws, rogue traders enjoy special privileges that exceed even the power of the Liege. However, they may choose not to exercise those privileges in certain situations. Arriving incognito will give you more room for maneuver, while an official visit will allow you to directly intervene in local affairs. Huh. So this will fundamentally change this chapter, I feel like. I shall explain if you do not mind. According to the unwritten rule, every rogue trader arriving at the station has the right to veto any of the Liege's decisions. Interesting. But there is a catch. The Koronus Expanse is home to several influential rogue trader dynasties, and Footfall is where their interests intersect. Of course, that does not prevent certain persons, namely Caligos Winterscale, from subtly pulling the strings in Footfall. If you, as a new rogue trader, start your career with an official landing and a parade in your honor, the other dynasties may see this gesture as the newcomer challenging their spheres of influence. I do not see that as a bad thing, necessarily. Old Man Winterscale may take slight offense. Corda will be put on her guard, but you have just risen to prominence, and most people in the Koronus Expanse have not even heard about Lady Theodore's departure yet. It must be made clear that the banner of Von Valancius soars as high as ever. If I may, I would recommend arriving incognito. You will have plenty of opportunities to savor the sweetness and the burden of power. But right now is the last time you can take refuge in obscurity. This way your arrival will not draw much attention, and the people will treat you as a person and not the almighty sovereign anointed by the Emperor. It could turn some situations to your advantage. No, I'm gonna arrive as a rogue trader, dude. I took on this mantle. I'm gonna go in powerful, man. And fuck anybody who tries to get in my way. I have decided. Tell the liege I will arrive officially as the rogue trader. It will be done, Lord Captain. Vigdis bows again. With your gracious permission, I will return to my duties. Like, I'm also like built off of fellowship, so I feel like I can use my fellowship probably quite a lot going this route as well. Okay. New chapter. Okay, so chapter 1's done. Now we're in chapter 2. What is this? Pascal has found a databank belonging to the rogue traders. Oh, that's what we just heard about. We need the... something to decrypt it. So it's the bridge cogitator, so that's this one, right? IH630. The reflections of the bridge lights are playing on the unlit vid screens of the cogitator. Next to the machine stands a hunched tech priest who bows as you approach, his body nearly folding in half. Lord Captain, the machine spirits of this mechanism slumbers. Should you wish to awaken it, use the key of your blood. Who are you? What is your purpose? My designation is IH630. The tech priest points his only mechandendrite at the machine beside him. The venerated engine seer prime has entrusted the sacred mechanism into my care. It is now my duty to assist in the rogue trader's understanding of the hallowed code. Okay, place your hand in. His jaws close around your hand with a screeching clack. You feel the cold metal pierce your skin and draw blood. The vid screens in front of you flicker restlessly, filling you with numerical combinations. The sacred mechanism is awake and ready to receive your request, Lord Captain. Pascal has informed me that the system has encrypted data stored inside. I wish to know its contents. Without another word, the tech priest turns to the cogitator. He raises his hands and a prayer of Binaric code pours out of his Vox device. The servo motors in the bows of the machine grow louder. Its undulating hum responds to his chant. Numerical combinations run down the screen. Okay, scans. The machine spirit has discovered numerous critical errors. The data is managed, the tech priest stops abruptly, and the green glow of his visor narrows. Registering an intact segment, the machine spirit has spoken. The words of Kiava Gamma and Dragonus hold certain data repositories. The mechanism is ready to provide the rogue trader with data keys that can unlock said repositories. Okay, how do I accept them? Request, response. The gracious machine spirit is willing to transfer the data keys to the head of House Von Valancius by means of an electu, a hypodermic tattoo augment. If you are ready to accept the keys, place your hand inside the servitor's mouth. Deep within the servitor's dark gullet, unseen, burning hot needles pierce your wrist, but the sharp pain only lasts a moment. The electu that has been planted inside your wrist should be enough to open the repository doors. So what are they? That remains hidden. The encrypted databank belongs to the esteemed Theodora von Valancius. She was the only one who could have known about these repositories. Perhaps the former Engine Seer Prime also could have known. Omniscia, accept his code. If I were to propose a hypothesis, it would be most prudent of a figure as eminent as a rogue trader to store her classified data in receptacles most secure. Okay, I need to know more about the caches. Okay, augmented fingers dart around the control panel. The Omniscia favors you if the machine spirit is willing to commence the calculation procedure that could restore the lost data. Okay. 85 for both. Restore the data on the cache located on Dargonus. Succeeded. The machine hums louder until it lets out a resounding crackle. Then the sound stops and an unmoving numerical combination lights up on the screen. The tech priest's synthesized voice sounds almost concerned. The data has been restored, but it is only a single phrase. Litanies of the motive force. That is all the sacred mechanism was able to salvage. Okay. How about the cache on Kiava Gamma? Succeeded. The servo motors within the cogitator pick up the pace, their heavy thrum growing louder. The machine clicks abrasively for several minutes, until eventually a numerical code appears on the screen. The tech priest turns to you. Oh, blessed are the Omniscia's deeds. The repository on Kiava Gamma has a security system guarding it. The machine spirit has recovered a code that will allow you to disable the defenses. Okay. I don't know what Kiava Gamma is, but we gained codes to disable its defenses. Okay. Have the tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus been able to discern how the ship was able to start her warp engine? The Engineer Prime spends hours pursuing the quest for knowledge in hopes of comprehending the nature of said miracle. May the Omniscia's grace guide him on his journey. There is no doubt that it was a miracle sent by the Omniscia as a manifestation of his will, yet the Engineer Prime managed to perceive some logical connection within the streams of data. I am not privy to this connection, but the Engineer Prime will surely share this newly discovered knowledge with you in a detailed report. Alright, we got something from all of that. In the capital of the Von Valancius Protectorate. So Dargonus is the capital of our protectorate. I don't know what the data contain. Let's see. More information might be found in Theodore's hidden caches. One of them is located somewhere on Kiava Gamma. So that's probably like a planet or a moon or something. Okay. I wish there were highlights for those so that it would tell me what those are, because it's treating it like we should know what they are and I don't. Okay, a new rumor, stolen stars. On extremely rare occasions, the Drukhari have been observed stealing suns in the Koronus Expanse. Such notorious raids wreak devastation across entire solar systems, but it is the frequency with which these malicious Xenos are depriving humanity of valuable stars that raises suspicion. What could have prompted this increase in their rapacious activities? Still have no idea what contracts are. How far are we in this game? We've played for like 25 hours, I think. Okay, nothing new there. Abelard, you got anything new to talk about?
Lord Captain.
I've discovered that there are caches left by Theodore somewhere on Dargonus and Kiava Gamma. Do you know anything about this? The
It is wise for a rogue trader to have caches where they can safely store important information. And utterly unwise to share the coordinates of such caches with anyone. Even one's most trusted associates.
So he's upset that we talked to him about it even. Interesting.
I'm afraid I do not know how to find the caches, but I can offer some help. Your predecessor used this numeric code to deactivate certain defense systems in her service. If I know Lady Theodora as well as I think, then I'm quite certain that she left her caches well guarded. In that case, this code will be useful to you.
Okay.
Lord Captain. Lord Captain.
You may be interested to know that a group of officers was discussing a grim rumor over lunch. Word has it the apparition of Lord Captain Theodora has been sighted on board lately. Yes, you heard right, they say she is haunting the decks, dragging wayward crew members off into oblivion. Disquiet has spread throughout the ship, as the anomaly has been reported in different sections, sometimes entire kilometers apart. The Voxmaster leans closer to you. Master Heinrich von Kallax expressed interest in our communication stations, and Voxnets a short while ago. The interrogator appears to be very well versed in the matters of sacred technology, and it worries me. A man of his knowledge and in his line of work is capable of discreetly planting his own devices in our systems. We will be vigilant, Lord Captain, but you should try to be more careful as well. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I live to serve, Lord Captain. Lord Captain?
Greetings.
Words cannot describe how boring the bridge is without our stimulating conversations. I have enjoyed your
Okay. Oh, Abel. Cool. Abel's here.
The Messiah knows all, comprehends all.
I want to know the truth about you.
The request is approved. I did conceal certain information. I was a student of Archmagus Amanat, but I committed an act of betrayal after he deviated from sacred dogma.
What did he do?
He fell into schism and challenged the sacred boundaries of knowledge. The blessed Amanat claimed the limits of what is permitted must be expanded, because by refusing to explore certain law, we find ourselves in contempt of the seventh universal law. Comprehension is the key to all things.
Let's see. So he wanted to expand his knowledge, but they saw that as heretical.
My mentor put forth a thesis claiming that we have stagnated, that ritual is now nothing but a cage for souls and false worship of the Omnissiah. He sought to break the cycle of mindless repetition because he saw the inevitable demise of our faith and all humanity at the end of it.
All right, who was the voice director for this game? Is it so now you're saying Omnissiah like I was saying before, but then the last person who said it said Omniscia, which I think was that Heinrichs who said it that way? I think it might have been Heinrichs who said it that way. And so I started saying it that way. Damn it. The voice acting is supposed to teach me how to pronounce these things, okay? How dare you betray me like this? Let's see. This seems like a theological argument, not a political one.
Even those who have ascended to the Omnissiah's wisdom still bear the seed of imperfection, born of their flesh. But the ambitions of individuals mean little when we discuss ritual and belief. Knowledge is divine, and any argument as to how it must be reached is an argument of ritual and belief.
So how did you betray him?
The teachings of the blessed Amanat spread, and word of it reached the conclave of the Cognizant fleet. They recognized his teachings as tech heresy. Many tech priests suddenly vanished or were subjected to serve penance for minor transgressions. The students of Amanat, whose number included many enlightened and respected brothers, resisted. My prognosis showed that our most likely future was a schism and a fratricidal war that would destroy the Cognizance fleet. That was when I headed to the Conclave. I confessed and handed the information about my mentor's research over to the Conclave. Brazen, anathematic studies of the Forbidden Law. The Conclave could use that data to summon Archmagos Amanat to stand trial and compel him to repent on pain of excommunicate Traitoris. His subsequent fate is unknown to me.
Gosh, no wonder these guys can't figure out their technology. Their religion basically tells them, hey, don't look into it too far, bro. It's messed up. So you betrayed your mentor.
This statement is true. However, I took this step out of loyalty to my mentor. He rejected caution and was leading us to a blasphemous war where he would become the first and most important victim. I did not want to witness his destruction and tried to force him to submit.
Honestly, if somebody like Amarnat was able to wrest control of that church, that would probably be a net gain for the future of the Imperium, all things considered. Whether he could or not is the real question.
I wanted to return to my mentor and share his fate, but the Conclave found me repentant and sent me to the station Alter Templum Calixis EXT-17, where I was to atone for my previous transgressions.
Okay, you acted as a loyal son of the Imperium should.
I pray that the Omnissiah grants us wisdom to overcome the dialectic differences that divide us.
So why did you go to Rycad Minoris?
I was summoned there by a message that was encrypted with the Blessed Amanat's personal code, and could be interpreted in several ways. One thing was certain. We were in danger, and I had to go to Rycad Minoris.
Abel, who is he?
Assessing his personality is difficult. The spirit of Brother Abel is different from that of most people. Tech comrades of the Cog call such persons quiet ones. He possesses significant intellect, but shuns communication. So far, I have not been able to determine why Abel summoned me to Rycad Minoris, how he is related to the Blessed Amanat, or why he bears the same name as me. Perhaps Reverend Abel may not be fully able to actualize and interpret the available data.
What are you going to do next?
I was wrong when I assumed it was the Blessed Archmagos Amanat who assumed the guise of Abel Haneman. But there is a connection between him and the Reverend Abel, and I intend to uncover the nature of this link.
Okay.
Acknowledged. I will return to ruminating on the search for the Blessed Amanat.
I want to know more about your past.
The request is approved. I have no outright restrictions on disclosing this information.
Where are you from?
Information about my origins is worthless. I belong to the priesthood of explorators and came to the Koronus Expanse over 200 years ago.
Whoa.
Any events preceding that moment are insignificant.
So these guys live really long lives. Is it because they're basically cyborgs? How did you end up in the Koronus Expanse?
I was honored to become a member of the Explorator Cognizance Fleet. When the Adeptus Mechanicus summoned the faithful for an exploratory venture into the depths of the Koronus Expanse, I joined the fleet in fulfillment of my sacred vows of comprehension.
Explorators, Adeptus Mechanicus tech priests who conduct a never-ending search for unrecorded phenomena, forgotten archaeotech hordes, and unknown life forms. Okay, why are you not with the fleet then?
After I betrayed Archmagus Amonat, the fleet conclave directed me to the orbital station, Alter Templum Calixus EXT-17, for penance. This venerable temple station was founded in the early years of our expansion into the Koronus Expanse. It is currently a rear observation post of the Cognizance fleet in orbit around the star Furibundus.
Who are the explorators?
The sacred fraternity of explorers. The cult Mechanica sends us out to the frontiers of the known sectors as researchers and conquerors. We are the warriors of the Code, who return to the lost worlds and devote themselves to recovering the lost ancient knowledge. Explorators are granted the privilege of being more independent than many of our tech comrades. However, it has earned us a reputation as unstable and poorly controlled troublemakers whose unorthodox views are dangerously close to apostasy.
Okay. And how about your mech and dendrites?
They are my younger brothers and guides on the way to the Omnissiah. Their machine spirits are directly bound to my neocortex and pick up impulses from my subconscious. Sometimes they act ahead of my thoughts. This is how the Omnissiah leads me to comprehension.
Okay, so that's why he didn't realize when we first met him. He made that machine explode, and he didn't really know how he did it. So it sounds like the machine spirits in his mech and dendrite did it.
Acknowledged.
Tell me about the Adeptus Mechanicus.
I am honored to belong to the priesthood of Mars, guided by its tenets. We safeguard technology against the impure and the unenlightened.
A technological organization also known as the Priesthood of Mars, which maintains constructs and honors the sacred technologies of humanity. Why mention Mars?
That is where the cult of the Omnissiah originated, and where we were granted the first revelations. Many millennia ago, we made an alliance with the Emperor of Terra, and have served the Imperium ever since, paying a tribute of machinery, weapons, and void ships.
How did they get away with having their own religion without the Imperium just destroying it? Is it just because that they held the technology?
Everything that bears the blessed seal of machinery comes from our hands, and it is we who make sure the operating
That must be
rituals
it.
are performed
They were too
as
important.
They were meant to. We are everywhere. We are the Mars forged steel bars that give the Imperium strength.
Do you hold a high position in your fraternity?
This electu indicates that I am a Magos, who has mastered the sacraments of many spheres of knowledge, and has the right to conduct services in a forged cathedral.
What is the Omnissiah in your understanding?
He is the divine mechanism, the maker of technology. The universe was made to resemble a mechanical marvel, because the Omnissiah rules over it. Knowledge is the highest form that he uses to manifest in the world. For now. Someday, he will come to this world in the absolute fullness of his splendor. The Adeptus Mechanicus worship the Emperor. He is the earthly manifestation of the Omnissiah, who brought humanity into the light of divine grace.
So the Adeptus Mechanicus worship the Emperor. He is the earthly manifestation of the Omnissiah who brought humanity into the light of divine grace. So is this I wonder if this is like... I don't understand what that means. That's the bottom line. Okay. What do you mean you guard it? It's not buried treasure. It's not a secret.
It is both a treasure and a secret. Technology is how the divinity of the Omnissiah manifests itself in this world. This is why the uninitiated may only be allowed to touch the most vulgar and mundane of its instances. We, on the other hand, are authorized to use the sacred catechism of maintenance and operation. Although there is another reason to deny lay people the sacrament of knowledge, it can be dangerous. Twisted by renegades, the Omnissiah's wisdom is called heretic, and the exposure to it may corrupt the uninitiated. Another danger is knowledge strangely interpreted and inscrutably twisted by the minds of the Xenos. This bane is called xenotech.
So just because it's technology that came from aliens, it's heretical by nature. Heretic, forbidden heretical technology spawned by the warp and chaos. This is the truth, man. He's not gonna like this, but I'm saying it. Banning things you cannot understand is the opposite of seeking knowledge. Technology is merely a tool that can be employed without risk by a wise wielder. And he's gonna say, no, it's not a tool. It's from the Omnissiah, so get over it, bro.
That is a bold hypothesis.
Bro's pissed.
And yet the Omnissiah teaches us that a dauntless mind can penetrate any knowledge through analysis. Where the ignorant see heresy, the enlightened might see truth.
Okay, he's actually a little bit in agreement with us then. Okay. What is behind the Adeptus Mechanicus' enthusiasm for replacing flesh with augmentations?
Organic tissue is an imperfect replica of the machine, transient and vulnerable. Metal is more stable, more effective, and more durable. Flesh speak is flawed next to biheric language. Meat begets weakness. It softens the mind and undermines discipline. But you can replace metal when it wears down. In addition, a machine is a supreme form of knowledge, and by assuming mechanical form, we become closer to the Omnissiah. However, like all things sacred, our augmentations must not be defiled by the eyes of the ignorant, which is why we reveal only the crudest of tools, while holier mechanisms remain concealed beneath our crimson robes.
Okay, let's go with one. He's not. I don't think he trusts us enough for this. I'm curious to see your augmentations.
The right to witness the miracle of flesh being fused with holy metal is granted only to those who have ascended to the rank of initiate. However, your lofty status of rogue trader allows me to make a partial exception and reveal my sacred stigmata.
Okay. Pascal reverently parts the robe scarlet folds of his chest. You see emaciated white meat gnawed through by metallic shunts and flexible wires. Blood runs through transparent pipes enriched with the nutrients required by the pallid flesh. Ugh. Tech use succeeded. The sight of a body transformed into an appendage to an incredibly complex mechanism built using unfathomably ancient blueprints is mesmerizing. Every component of this machine serves the dual purpose of preserving life in Pascal's fragile flesh and preventing all threats to his well-being. The Omnissiah has been generous to you. His creation is keeping you safe from death.
The Omnissiah has been generous to you too. He has granted you understanding.
You have a strange way of speaking. Is that because of the augmentations, or does your faith dictate how you should express yourself?
Partially true. I had a voice modulator implanted alongside the respiratory purification module, but there is an additional reason. Gothic is not my first language. I am used to thinking and making statements in lingua technis. The binaric language is more informative, more ergonomic, and less prone to misinterpretation.
Lingua Technis Cant Mechanis, a collection of dialects used by the Adeptus Mechanicus and its tech priests, can be used as a spoken language with audio bursts or as a machine code with electrical signals. Okay.
Acknowledged. May your labors be effective and fruitful.
The person you saved from the Electro Priest Monastery, the servant of the Omnissiah who calls himself Abel Hanoiman, is staring intently at a cogitator's vid screen. Wires connect the sacred computing machine to augmetics inside the prayerfully bowed head of murmuring servitors. Abel looks up at you. After a lengthy silence, he looks away and says stiffly, "The Omnissiah knows all, comprehends all." How are you feeling? The tech priest stares intently at his feet for a while and then says in a halting voice, "The running of the binaric protocols was bogged down and dissolved in false commands. The filter has separated the correct signals from the incorrect. The running has been restored to its swiftness." Pascal speaks softly as though trying to match the inflections of Abel's voice. Tech brother Abel has passed the diagnostics. The pernicious influence of sacrilegious procedures has been completely eliminated. Statistically, most survivors of a schismatical's infestation are left with severe cognitive impairments. However, Tech brother Abel's mind, being of a less typical nature, has not been damaged to so great a degree. Gaze into his eyes. Tech brother Abel, you are free from possession, are you not? I trust that you pose no threat to my ship. His voice quivers and his eyes dart around, desperately avoiding eye contact. What was flawed has since been purged, but the shadows of the hunt linger. The cog is dismounted and no judgment has been made. In the absence of judgment, threat remains. Who will make the judgment? I will. Pascal places a mechadendrite on Abel's shoulder and repeats, his voice heavy, like a wheel tread, crushing the dirt underneath. I will make the judgment that will avert the threat. His gaze falls on you. There is no need to frighten him. What judgment do you two speak of? Only he knows, but if my tech brother fears that he might not make the right decision at the critical moment, then I will do it for him. What troubles him so? I assumed at first that this was caused by the shock inflicted upon the system by the schismatical attack, but my tech brother's words are a sign of deep reason for his unease. He foresees something that threatens both him and all those around him, and thus I stand ready to face this threat. You care for him as if he truly were your younger brother. Pascal's vox rasps a tired laugh. Tech brother Abel is harmonious, and harmony is beauty. Is it so strange, an urge to protect beauty from the horrors of the grotesque? And why are you so concerned? He is not the one that you were hoping to find. Answer unknown. I am registering a kinship, both between our identifiers and one that is more profound. Archmagos Amernat left an imprint on all his students. It may be, then, that I see some of my mentor in tech brother Abel, and so my spirit rejoices and strives to keep him from harm. I will try not to give Abel any undue cause for dread. Thank you. Okay. Why do you and Pascal have the same name? Abel freezes. From his vox synth, barely audible through the static came the words, "The naming of the names is not an index to the text, the naming of the names is the text." Abel's answers can be enigmatic. His mind works differently from ours. He thinks in harmonic imagery and notices the symmetries and proportional relationships in the world around him. Poetry would be the closest analogy to how he perceives and interacts with reality. I never imagined there could be poets among the tech priests. Why not? Technolingua is rhythmical and possesses a broad semantic scope, and some of its more sonorous dialects lend themselves well to individual and symphonic declamation. Do you understand what he is saying? Negative. However, I will hypothesize tech brother Abel is seeking to convey the idea that our matching identifiers are not the key to some vital data point. They are, in and of themselves, the vital data point. At this stage in my analysis, I can draw no useful conclusions from this proposition. However, the very fact that tech brother Abel is trying to hint at something points to him either being better informed than I am, or having conducted a more in-depth analysis of the situation that is useful information. Are we overthinking it? It doesn't matter why your names are the same. What matters is that they are the same. Is that what you mean? Abel looks sideways at you, and at once his transfixed stupor is gone. At this point in time, the cycle has been broken and reshaped into a rising spiral, as Amernat envisioned. On hearing his mentor's name, Pascal lets out a raspy, static-filled sigh. They are connected. My hypothesis regarding Abel's connection to the blessed Amernat has been confirmed. Point to the cogitator. What are you working on? We catch the soul of the light on the solar wind. We look for the footsteps of the Omnissiah left when he walked the desert. This is the oneiromantic computational procedure, the depersonalized mind of these machines. Machine servants are in a data dream, processing enormous arrays of assorted data and aggregating them. Virtually all results of such synthesis are scrap data, but occasionally we have noted coincidences whose exactness defied logic. It is an extremely rare and venerated form of statistical augury, but Tech Brother Abel is adept at this form of appearing to the Deus Mechanicus. Okay. Look for logical connections within the data. Most of the runes are devoid of any meaning, but you notice a few among them that combine into a formula and computational graphs. Abel peers at you inquisitively, then shifts his gaze to the vid screen, and you could swear that a smile lights up his face under his respiratory augmetic. A crystal is exquisite in clear water. Deviation from the cycle's trajectory has been increased, as was Amernat's wish. Abel lowers his head, and his Vox synthesizer broadcasts a Beneric hymn you do not recall having heard before. Its sound is full of vibrant energy, and its precise rhythm is nothing short of pleasing to the ear, a rare thing for the language of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Pascal explains with an inexplicable air of pride. Tech Brother Abel has dedicated a lesser aria to you. The piece is distinguished by a high degree of acoustic harmony, and is fit for use as a motto, auxiliary identifier, or epitaph. Bow. I thank you for the generous gift. The gift is disproportionate, but it does signify a personal affinity. Okay, inspect the sacred machine. The hair has been removed from every servitor's head. Their bulky cerebral augmentics cover their skulls like helmets. The faces of the cogitator servants are blank, their eyes are closed, their lips are incessantly whispering what sounds like gibberish. Hundreds of lines of symbols containing information scroll down the cogitator's vid screen. Abel Hanoiman peers at it with voracious interest in sharp contrast to his usual placidity. Why do you do it? It is how we execute the quest for knowledge in the hope that the machine god grants us an epiphany, so that we may discern a logical connection in a mass of absurd data which will propel our comprehension forward. Abel goes back to intently watching the calculations. Turn to Pascal. Did you hear what Abel said? It seems we have contributed to Amernat's design and deviated from the cycle. What does that mean for you? A low guttural sound rises from the depths of Pascal's Vox synth, as though the planet's tectonic plates are shifting and crushing each other. The mighty rumble brings forth words imbued with power. We follow a path charted by a great mind, but that path leads to dark places. The cycle has the advantage of predictability. Abandoning it will plunge the collective into a perilous space of uncertainty, which will inevitably lead to disasters and the risk of universal annihilation. The doctrine of discontinuing the cycle may herald good things to come, or it may be a death sentence. Only the Omnissiah knows all and comprehends all. Others are mere prophets who interpret his wisdom as far as their own comprehension permits. Disaster is just another word for new opportunity. Not missing it is what it's all about. This statement is true. A crisis motivates a system towards growth and elaboration. The more unbearable the test, the more earnest will be the mind's appeal to the Omnissiah's wisdom, and the more stable the response. The tone of thundering profundity drains from Pascal's Vox, giving way to his familiar sibilance. Abel immediately looks away as if he has lost all interest, but then his Vox crackles barely audible. I am glad to see you. Okay. Alright, I think we're going to look at this stuff in the next episode, because we are at time. So, thank you all for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.
I'd like to give a very special shout out to my patron supporters: Darren York, ZTD, Knife Namaste, Kyle the Monarch, Chris Murphy, JW, Quinless, Vlado101, Andy Ford, Bruce Wizzle, Black Mamba 90, Eureka Gecko, A Happy Fat Panda, Turkeyfoot 27, Pedo Kuto, Shadow Raven, and Nadia N. If you would also like to join this tier or any others, check out my memberships or my Patreon in the description down below.